This beautiful woman is the most famous woman in South Korea. Wherever she goes, she never lacks the flashing lights of the media. Whenever she wears a piece of clothing, after the company's promotion, it sells out in an instant. But this woman named Heju is not some super celebrity. Rather, she is the second daughter of the C group Chaebol. However, Heju, who possesses both wealth and beauty, also has her own worries. Recently, the sales of C group's products have been declining sharply. Heju immediately summoned the heads of all departments, demanding that they follow her instructions to carry out promotional hype at the king's birthday banquet. The 21st century, South Korea has adopted a constitutional monarchy. The king still exists, though he no longer holds real power, but he remains a symbol of the nation and its class system. Although she is the illegitimate daughter of a wealthy Chaebol, Heju is, in terms of status, merely a commoner, inferior to the nobility. It so happens that today is the king's birthday. To rescue sales, Heju has decided to use herself as an advertisement for promotion. But the palace is a place where rank is strictly observed, with a rigid hierarchical order. Those who come and go here are mostly members of the royal family, people of high status, noble or distinguished. At the banquet, a noblewoman mocks Heju, saying she is nothing but a lowly commoner, an illegitimate daughter who was only brought to the chairman's side at age 10. Someone like that must be shameless and utterly lacking in manners. But Heju is not one to be bullied. She smashes a glass in front of the noblewoman, flashing a defiant and contemptuous smile. Her older half-brother also comes to mock her. Heju is still full of fighting spirit, retorting that her brother is like a cheap and stupid lapdog. The king's birthday ceremony is about to begin. Everyone moves into the main hall, but a long while passes, and the ceremony still hasn't started. Everyone waits with bated breath in silence. Heju knows they are all waiting for Grand Prince Ryan. Since the king is still young, Grand Prince Ryan, the late king's second son, is effectively the regent, the true center of power in the royal family. Finally, amid everyone's eager anticipation, Grand Prince Ryan appears, but he disregards protocol, not wearing formal attire. Instead, he is dressed in hunting clothes. Compared to the elegant and dignified ceremony, he appears utterly unruly, his edge fully exposed. As the king writes his wishes, the ceremony proceeds to the tour segment. Heju wanders around the palace, trying to find a cell signal, when she happens to run into Grand Prince Ryan. With an imposing calm, he demands that the woman before him state her name. Heju gives her name. Grand Prince Ryan scolds her for loitering in a restricted area, and orders her to leave. But as he speaks, a loud explosion suddenly comes from a nearby palace. Grand Prince Ryan rushes to check, only to see the palace engulfed in flames. The Grand Queen Dowager, without asking any questions, slaps Grand Prince Ryan across the face, accusing him of trying once again to take the new king's life, as he did before. Fortunately, the king is unharmed. But because of this commotion, the ceremony ends early. Heju returns, disgruntled. Noticing her displeased expression, her secretary asks if she dislikes Grand Prince Ryan. In the past, Heju and Grand Prince Ryan attended the same middle school. At the secretary's words, Heju's memories are pulled back to many years ago. That night at school, Heju snuck into the archery range to practice for an upcoming shooting competition. But halfway through her practice, Grand Prince Ryan appeared. With an aristocratic tone, he accused Heju of violating school rules and said she would have to lose the corresponding credit points. But Heju's eyes were full of defiance. She asked Grand Prince Ryan in return if he would also have points deducted for being at the archery range. When he flashed a clear permit, Heju remained unconvinced. She pulled out the archery range key she had stolen from a classmate. She didn't understand why some people could shamelessly possess a key, why Grand Prince Ryan could so easily obtain permission. With determined eyes, Heju declared she would not accept the threat of point deduction. Inside the palace, Grand Prince Ryan is troubled by marriage. That day, the Grand Queen Dowager comes to see him, openly expressing her dissatisfaction. The palace caught fire, the king nearly fell into danger, yet the only thing the entire nation cares about is a minor wound on Grand Prince Ryan's face, because he is the regent. From political leaders to business tycoons, even common citizens, everyone scrambles to claim a spot by his side. Grand Prince Ryan's light shines too brightly, already overshadowing the king. To stabilize the king's position and remove this thorn in the side that is Grand Prince Ryan, the Grand Queen Dowager demands that he marry the woman she has chosen. Once married, Grand Prince Ryan must leave the palace and naturally will no longer be able to continue as regent. As the Grand Queen Dowager issues her ultimatum, a layer of sorrow settles over Grand Prince Ryan's eyes. As a child, he followed his father's teachings, studying diligently. But even when he scored a perfect grade, because he was the second son, his father never once looked at him any differently, to remind him to stay in his place and not become an obstacle to the crown prince. His father even changed his title twice. Outside the palace, Heju is also troubled by marriage. Her father, the chairman, intends to arrange a marriage for Heju, but she hears that the prospective husband is just the representative of a small subsidiary, a nobody who can't even crack the industry rankings. Heju expresses strong dissatisfaction. She is not a naive romantic. She is willing to accept a strategic business marriage, but it must be a union of equals to be worthwhile. Her sister-in-law advises Heju not to be too picky, but Heju retorts sharply, suggesting that her sister-in-law probably married her good-for-nothing brother because of her own pickiness. Facing her brother, Heju's gaze is sharp. If not for being born of the legitimate wife, what aspect of her brother could possibly match her? In front of her father, Heju flatly declares that she will never marry an incompetent husband. The secretary compiles a list of candidate husbands for Heju, but Heju is still unsatisfied after reviewing it. Though the list contains company representatives, those companies have low rankings, and the candidates are ugly. She sees no profit for herself. Heju can't help sighing. She just wants a man whose ability, wealth, and looks match her own. Why is it so hard? Recently, due to his attire at the king's birthday ceremony, Grand Prince Rian has once again become the center of public opinion. The royal relatives criticize him for disrespecting tradition, while ordinary citizens are fascinated by the handsome Grand Prince. Heju also takes note of this Grand Prince Rian. When she thinks about it, it seems that across the entire nation, only Grand Prince Rian matches her in every way. Suddenly, Heju gets an idea to make Grand Prince Rian her future husband. Once she makes up her mind, Heju acts immediately. She applies for an audience with Grand Prince Rian, but her application is rejected. Still, Heju is confident, believing that Grand Prince Rian is playing hard to get. So she sends another application. The aide informs Grand Prince Rian that Heju used different names on her two applications. The first application used the name Heju, the second used the second child of Chairman Seong. Hearing this, Grand Prince Rian coldly rejects it again. Heju begins to wonder if it's because she didn't state a reason for the application. So this time, Heju boldly writes down the reason. She promises that this audience will promote national development. She signs it with her title and full name, but the application is still rejected. Again and again, each application fails. Heju roars in frustration, but after calming down, she suddenly recalls that day at the palace, when Grand Prince Rian called her Junior Hobei. Thinking of this, Heju changes her signature to Junior, earnestly asking her Senior to serve as her respected advisor. To her surprise, this application is accepted. Overjoyed, Heju dresses up carefully one evening soon after, and goes to the palace to meet Grand Prince Rian. "Why did you want to see me so badly?" Facing the high and mighty royal, Heju speaks bluntly, "I want to propose. Let's get married." End of episode 1.